My dad missed my graduation for his fiance, so I made sure his wedding felt just as empty. I was zipping my suitcase shut when Cleo knocked and stepped into my room. She was already in her bridesmaid dress, hair pinned up perfectly. "You're seriously leaving?" she asked. I nodded without looking at her. "Flight's in 2 hours." Cleo was Vera's daughter. She was supposed to walk down the aisle with me today. We'd actually gotten close this past year, which made this harder. "Mira, please." She sat on my bed. "I know what happened at graduation was awful, but your dad is a wreck right now. He keeps asking if you've changed your mind." I laughed sharply. "Has he?" She flinched. I yanked the zipper closed and faced her. "Your mom had a meltdown because a florist delivered the wrong color roses. My dad left my graduation 10 minutes before I walked across the stage to calm her down. He missed the most important moment of my life over flowers." My phone buzzed. Dad's name flashed across the screen. I declined the call. Cleo tried again. "He's devastated that you're not coming. He's been pacing the house all morning." I shrugged. "He should be used to missing important moments by now." "What do you mean?" I sat down across from her. "Let me tell you about junior prom. Dad promised he'd be there for pictures. First time in months he'd made plans with me." I was so excited. I paused, watching her face. "He canceled 2 hours before because Vera wanted him at some charity gala. Said he'd make it up to me. He didn't." Cleo stared at her hands. "Then there was my 18th birthday. I planned this whole dinner at my favorite restaurant. Dad showed up 40 minutes late with Vera, announced they were engaged, and spent the rest of the night talking about wedding venues while I sat there invisible. I blew out my candles alone while they scrolled through Pinterest." I shook my head slowly. "And Christmas?" "I flew home from college specifically to spend time with him. He picked me up from the airport, drove me straight to Vera's mother's house, and I spent the entire holiday surrounded by strangers who didn't know my name. He barely looked at me the whole trip." I grabbed my suitcase handle. "So no, Cleo. I'm not watching him marry the woman who erased me from his life piece by piece. If the wrong roses were important enough to miss my graduation, then seeing my mom is important enough to miss his wedding." She stood slowly. "He really does love you, Mira." I almost felt sorry for her. If he loved me, he would have been in that audience when I walked across the stage. I wheeled my suitcase past her and didn't look back. My flight left at 3 o'clock. The wedding started at 4 o'clock. I watched the clouds from my window seat and felt nothing but relief. 3 days later, I was eating breakfast at my mom's house when someone pounded on the front door. Dad stood on the porch, face twisted with anger. He still had his wedding ring tan line. He pushed past me into the living room before I could speak. "You actually left," he said, voice shaking. "You got on a plane and left." I crossed my arms. "You left first. 4 years ago when you met Vera. You just did it slowly enough to pretend you didn't. That's not fair." I stepped toward him. "What about graduation? You promised you'd be in that front row. You looked me in the eyes and promised." "Vera needed me," he said weakly. "She was spiraling, and I didn't need you." His jaw clenched. "She was having a panic attack. Mira, she was throwing a tantrum over the wrong shade of pink," I shouted. "I walked across that stage and looked for your face in the crowd. Do you know what it felt like to see an empty chair where my father was supposed to be sitting?" He ran a hand over his face. "I made a mistake. You made 100 of them." I stepped even closer. "Prom, my birthday, Christmas, every single time Vera needed something, you vanished. I stopped being your daughter the day you started being her everything." "That's not true," he whispered. "Then why are you here?" I demanded. "To yell at me? To guilt me? To make me apologize for finally treating you the way you've treated me?" He stood there, mouth open, no words coming out. I walked to the front door and pulled it open. "Go back to your wife," I said coldly. "You already chose her a long time ago. I just finally accepted it." He stared at me for a long moment, something breaking behind his eyes. Then his shoulders sagged and he walked past me onto the porch, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. He turned like he wanted to say something. I shut the door in his face before he could.